to purify the mind. So we have already discussed about minor annoyances. Even the minor annoyances and disappointments comes because a lot of garbage is already present in the mind. Otherwise, there is no reason for this getting annoyed with a simple thing. Some, oh, why you said this, and now the conflict starts. So it happens in the level of thinking, speaking, and also our expression. So remember this, that it happens due to the three factors: the impurity, and the wandering mind, the distraction, because mind is not able to receive and perceive the situation, the people, and the relationship. We fight more with our relations than strangers. What you will do fighting with me? Maximum, you will not attend my sessions. So we have lot of annoyances with our near and the dear ones. Do you agree with me? Say yes, even if you say no, it does not make any difference. so, so that is because the mind is constantly agitated at a deeper level. Outside, I'm controlling, self-control is there. And the third factor that we have talked about is all about our ignorance. So what we need to do, we need to identify the impurities. Impurities, you said me something and it annoys me. So I have to recognize the cause of the annoyance inside my head, inside my mind, rather than I blame someone else. And that is what we don't do. And it is because of the second factor. The mind is constantly distracted. It blames and complains the, the world outside. So that is the first step. And then we have to cultivate a natural awareness. We have to raise our level of awareness the moment we have any kind of annoyance, so that we can look into what is happening around me and how it is causing the annoyance. So first is that I have to identify the impurities. Second is I have to perceive through a higher level of awareness. And then if I am still annoyed, I have to look for what? I have to admit, I have to recognize and accept my ignorance. Normally we don't accept. Oh, you said this, and that is why, I became annoyed. That is why I'm angry. Enough is enough. A lot of words that we use in America, and that becomes famous all over the world. So the fourth is then I contemplate and reflect the cause and effect relationship. I have to find out that what exactly is the cause and effect relationship. Because I don't like you, so you said me something and that causes the annoyance. So what is that disliking in me about you? So when that disliking continues, it gathers lot of impressions in our mind. And then what happens? We harm others a bit, but we harm ourselves constantly, because the mind is constantly repeating those thoughts, those feelings. And that results into anxiety, depression, emotional dependence, intellectual paralysis, reaction, blame and complaint, frustration. You see the entire, that is how I become crazy, lazy, and obsessed in my daily life. You need to think, how those masters have. And once we understand the cause and effect, then we know the solution also. Because when I know the disease clearly, the cause and effect, then I should find the remedy, and I should apply the remedy instantly. So these three factors, getting angry, When you are stuck in the traffic, that is what we say the impurity in the mind. Overeating unhealthy food due to craving. So, craving is the impurity. Food has nothing to do with anything. Whatever the food that you take, the food does not force you to eat. I eat the food. Just an example, I'm saying you. Hoarding possessions and struggling to let go. I create lot of possessions. I can bet you that if you look into your garage, you can find out 90% of the things are useless. And you have been keeping it for so long. Because that idea of possessions and hoarding is already there. Every month, I also look into the garage and I say, I not required. I used it. I spend the money and then I donate it and I clean it. I said, no, I don't need it. Same thing with our closets. So that is causing a sense of impurity. You may not agree now, but as you continue the journey, you will find out. And one of the greatest impurities that two friends meet and they start gossiping. Gossip results into impure speech. So gossiping ultimately enters into blame and complaint game. Judging someone only on their appearance. That is also an impure perception of the mind. That then there are some examples of the impurities. And the second factor is the oscillation, the wandering mind. So how the wandering mind works. You are constantly switching on the phone, email, TV channels. That is basically a second factor. It's a mental oscillation. It is happening deeper inside, which is manifesting outside. You start the 10 projects at the same time, but unable to complete any. And then I get frustrated. We make plans, then changing them repeatedly. In our life, daily life. That is what makes me crazy, lazy, and obsessed. Saying yes, then no, then yes again. Means the fluctuating speech. That is the cause of oscillation of the mind. Shifting moods. Mood swing, we talk in modern psychology, we bring into the category of the second factor. Letting your mind wander while having a conversation. You are listening to, you pose physically that you are listening to, but the mind is somewhere else. Now, if those factors are present, obviously, the Eastern wisdom will not work as effectively as you. Craving also. Craving ice cream 1 minute and a bag of chips the next. I have one friend in my family, or friend, I would say I have one relations in the family. Every time we go to shopping, and that person either looks for the chips, and what the person says, I feel hungry. We have just gone to the market, just gone after lunch, and every time. So does it cause annoyance to me? No, you do whatever you want to do if you don't want to understand. Every time, chips is preferable. Why? Because I feel hungry. I've just taken my lunch. So, and then comes the ignorance. Why I put the ignorance at the third level? Every master puts ignorance is the fundamental cause of our suffering. Ignorance of what? Ignorance that I am permanent peace and happiness. That is the ignorance. And that is why I start searching peace and happiness in relationship, in people, in things, in possessions. That is why I don't empty the garage. It should remain full, I have a lot of things. And at last, I know that after a few years, you are going to throw it away. You don't want to throw it now. I'm giving daily life examples. So we sometimes we believe stereotypes. No, I'm the body and the mind. That is all. I have to enjoy a drink. That's all. No, I don't listen to you. This is a stereotype. I have created lot of stereotypes in our habits, in our speech. And one of the greatest problem of this ignorance that I am utterly selfish. I always have a selfish goal. I don't want to keep the mind in the state of selflessness. Why selfishness? I say that I is causing this impurity, that I-ness, that we are going to talk in detail. And then what happens when I'm totally, utterly selfish, I don't see the welfare of others. I don't even appreciate it. This is the way I want to live. That is all, whether you agree with me or not. Did I just let me say it again? So now go to the first factor of the impurity. Under the impurity, we say there are six enemies. Did we cover? No, I didn't cover that. There are six enemies. So under the impurities, there are six kinds of enemies. And under the six kind of enemies, you can cover all the problems, all the blame and complaint. So now the master says, first it comes with the binding desire. Binding desire means that I desire to seek happiness and peace from the world outside. And normal desire means that you have that desire for a cup of tea, you go to the kitchen, get it and drink it, finished. You go to the restroom, that is also a desire. So binding desire means that through the thoughts, feeling, and emotions, it keeps on nagging you. Look at my honey, he or she is not taking care of me. At least he should or she should have taken care of me. Now that thought keeps on nagging you. Is it not a fact? You cannot say no. I know it. So that is a binding desire. So now see that binding desire, if it keeps on nagging you, and that binding desire is not fulfilled, then that binding desire becomes an agitation, anxiety, stress, and suffering in you. Now, the same binding desire has changed its shades and the color. Now, if what if it is fulfilled? I love my honey also loves me. Very good. I have no complaint. And you also have no complaint. But then what happens? Know what happens? Then your binding desire repeat itself. Because now once your expectation is fulfilled, now you want to fulfill, your mind wants to fulfill the same expectation repeatedly. And now the mood of your honey on one day is not good. He or she refuses. And now what happens? You binding desire again becomes hesitation and the stress. But if it is repeated, it is being fulfilled all the time, then it becomes what we say obsession. Obsession. Then I'm emotionally dependent on the honey. Should I not be emotionally dependent on honey? No. I should have a relationship of emotional feed. There, my emotion should be free. Emotional dependence is attachment. Attachment is binding, and it comes from the binding desire. So the binding desire becomes obsession. And now see the first three factors. Now the binding desire either becomes hesitation or stress, or it becomes an emotion obsession. Now, these three factors causes the delusion. Now I start looking into my honey, either is an enemy or is a great uh, person or great utility. Now that person or my relations becomes a thing of utility. I don't treat that person mentally as a living being. And that causes, that ends up either in divorce or frustration or anger or hesitation, etc., etc. It's a long list. So we enter into, my mind is deluded now. I'm talking of the first factor in impurity has six types. The binding desire, hesitation and stress, repeat desire or obsession. Fourth is the delusion. Now, what happens after the delusion? Because of so many impressions in my mind, I build a kind of an ego. I become uh, a very strong personality, which has created an image about others, and I stick to that image. No, he doesn't listen to me. She doesn't listen. I don't want to change. So that is known as the pride or the ego. And then what happens, the sixth factor, my mind continuously, 24 by 7, at the deeper level, at the lower level of my mind, continuously keeps on, it lives on, breathes on jealousy and the hatred. And when that jealousy and hatred reaches to a point of threshold, then we may do crime or we may divorce or we may fight, we or whatever. We already know what is happening in the society. This is what happens with the first impurity of the mind. I'm not talking only of relationship, it happens in the society also. Society also. So this is what happens in case of the impurity. So I have, you see that I have expanded the impurity into the six factors. And now expand the second problem of the mind, that is what the wandering mind is or the oscillation is. So I have to recognize that I keep on checking the social media, keep on changing the TV channels minute after minute. And I feel, oh, let me eat pasta. No, 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 let me eat this. No, let me eat this. I have to check my mind what I'm going to do. You sit down and find out. You start finding a new project. You are excited, and then you fall down. Enthusiasm is not. Same thing with the travel plans, gossiping, etc. It's like a monkey mind. So I have to recognize, I have to identify it. If I'm not identifying, I'm talking, not only it will help you in your personal, professional, and social life, but ultimately it will set a great foundation for awakening. We say awakening, close your eyes, meditate, and I will awaken. That is not going to happen. That has never happened. The Buddha spent 6 years. Oh, we think, it's so easy, it's a just close our eyes, 1 minute of mindfulness. That is not the journey of the life. How many people are awakened by doing 1 minute or 5 minutes of meditation? So we are not, in Google, everything is filled up. So mind has become like an untrained puppy. When you recognize this untrained puppy, you have to take over it. If you don't take over it, it is not going to help you. It is causing the problem in your relationship. It is causing the problem in your professional life. It is causing a lot of challenges at your physical level. I'm not going very deep into the journey. Let the time come when I will go. So the masters have underlined that how, from understanding the deeper layers of the impurities and oscillation, results into many diseases of which we are known today. That includes the silent killers and the problems related to the kidney. You'll be surprised and amazed. Our masters have diagnosed and analyzed this factor. How they have analyzed? They have analyzed that a moment of annoyance, if it is moment of annoyance, it is if it is at 100%, the effect of that annoyance lives in your mind for about a week. And if it is living for about a week, what happens? Your sleep is disturbed. You start making the faults in discharging your duties. So, lot of stuff that I will take up later. And the third is the ignorance. Ignorance means I simply understand why I am annoyed when my nature is peace and happiness. Why I am annoyed when my nature is peace and happiness. So that ignorance means false assumption, wrong notion that I am in stress. I'm not worthy of suffering. And once you are 100% clear, I'm not worthy of suffering includes I'm not worthy of grief also. I don't grieve. Thousands of people are being killed in Africa and in Israel and Hamas war. So I have a sense of attachment with the near and dear ones. There I grieve. I don't grieve when it is too far. Why? What happens to the mind? So that factor makes us fully aware that so I have to understand these three factors living in the mind is causing lot of suffering. So these are the impurities, the obsession or the wanting mind, puppy mind, untrained puppy, and the third is the ignorance. If I don't investigate the root causes, but that we have already understood that. So now see that why you can answer a simple question that you are understanding that. Intellectually, you are understanding. But intellectual understanding is blocked just after the session by the same mind. And then you cannot realize that. So that is why we have conventional methods for the purification of the mind. Because unless we follow these conventional methods, then we start getting the result and we see the result and then say, yes, it is possible now. The mind starts believing it. Mind, because it realizes it, it experiences the changes. So first we will go in our following sessions the conventional methods for the purification of the mind. There are six in, and then it is an in-depth psychology that how it helps me to purify the mind. And then you put them into the practice. Recently, this millionaire who has been my student almost for the last 5 months, he has a lot of challenges in the business. And then he applied these conventional methods. Just after 2 weeks, his mind is totally calm. He says, I have a problem. I have accepted this problem as a challenge and I will solve it. I know it. And before that, it was totally a different state of the mind. So these conventional methods we have to apply, and more you share those experiences with me, it will definitely help you. Even if you don't share the experiences, it's okay. We are facilitators in Eastern wisdom. We are not the teachers who dictate. Why we are facilitators? Because you are already a real self. Your nature is already peace and happiness. So we facilitate to make you aware that why don't you see this peace and happiness, which is your nature. And teacher means that he has to pass on the information which you don't know. But once you are awakened, you will recognize that you know all the information that I gave, it is already within. That is the journey of the self-discovery. and self-inquiry. Anyhow, yes, one more thing that I want to do, because our intellect is hypnotized by the modern world. Reason I believe in science. Do you really believe in science? So we become very scientific. Sometimes we don't have a belief in the symbols and in different images that Eastern wisdom offers. So the Eastern wisdom has found a way that let us those symbolic expression should be represented by different geometrical figures. Shirley has asked the question, so I'm answering. So the square represents the fourfold goals in life. First goal, second goal that I have already discussed in detail. The fourth goal, Eastern wisdom introduces the fourth goal, so we have a square pattern. Then comes the triangle. Triangle has different geometrical, it's a geometrical shape. So when you focus on the equilateral triangle pointing upward, it represents knowledge, right desire, and action. Knowledge, knowledge, say for example, of the self, what to do. So I have a desire for the real self. Then what should I do? I should do the practice. So all our actions in life has three parts, three stages. First, I have a knowledge. How can I crave for a coffee if I have never experienced the coffee before? Or you tell me the coffee stimulates your brain and it makes you fresh, so I have a right knowledge. Then I have a desire for the coffee. And then I experience the coffee, and that gives me similar experience or not for anything, from the sex to the coffee to possessing a car. So these three elements are very important. That is how the mind works. Knowledge, first I have a clear cut knowledge, but if I have a right knowledge, then I have a right desire. But if I have a wrong knowledge, then I have a wrong desire. And that translates into action. My action also becomes wrong. So that is why we have started in a symbolic manner that triangle. So when the mind moves on the triangle, it clears the right knowledge, right desire, and right action. That is why we have started doing. I have added one aspect of it. There are thousands of images, archetypes, which represents our mind and mood. Oh, that's a very deeper and the higher level of the journey. So close your eyes. Eyes are closed, and place check the place of the check the place of the where you are sitting. Check the position of the body. What do we mean by position of the body? You should be at ease. And then posture, any posture, whether you're lying down or sitting, your posture should be at ease. No stress or struggle with the body. You are not fighting with the body. Mind has achieved a new normal to continue fighting and struggle with the body. What to talk of the mind? And that we seldom are aware of it. We lose that awareness. So that is why we have another step is being comfortable. Being comfortable. You move the mind on the head and the neck. Feel the sensation, comfort and steadiness. Move the mind, move the mind on the move the mind on the shoulder joints. Be there, feel the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Move the mind on the entire body. Feel the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. So being comfortable is done, it is a passive step. Then we move to being carefree. I have repeated hundred of times. You have to do the practice of being carefree and comfortable at least every day, 5 or 6 times. And you will discover a calmness and relaxation. So being carefree, that I explained by metaphor that thoughts are like the traffic on the road, but you are standing across the road. So the traffic jam doesn't affect you because you are standing across the road, you're separate from it. So the mind has an ability to separate its content from itself. What that means, separation objectively. You become objective to these thoughts. You don't become subjective. What do you mean by subjective? You're chasing the, you become the thought. Thought says, I am in stress, now you become the stress. That is how the feeling, emotions emerges. And then we forget. So once we are comfortable and carefree, we look, we look inside the forehead. We look inside the forehead in the space, and then keep looking into the space, and we start breathing from the chest, quick and short breaths. Continue breathing. Just continue breathing, quick and short breaths from both the nostrils into the rib cage, and at the same time, you are aware the body is not moving, body is in the state of comfort and steadiness. And stop it. Recognize and accept the changes that is taking place at this moment. Keep looking inside the forehead, and there you start saying mentally, now we want to change the mind. You said that this also works as a purification of the mind. Asato ma sat gamaya, asato ma sat gamaya, asato ma sat gamaya. Literal meaning, from the false to the real. There is a movement from the false to the real. You don't struggle with your impurities. We brand them as a false, so your mind doesn't pay attention. But that realization comes by practice, 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 plus some knowledge. So, how do we brand what is false? Any form of anxiety, duality, conflict, oscillation, obsession is belongs to the false. That is one way to say. So, you simply recognize if these thoughts are present in the mind at this time, or your mind reminds you that what I did today. Also, so you become aware. What I said in the very beginning, what is the way I should become aware? Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Moving from the ignorance to the wisdom. Any ignorance means the false assumption, the wrong notion that I'm in stress, that I have lot of problem, that I'm worthy of suffering. They all are coming from the ignorance. Why? Because I don't recognize my real nature. So I should be patient, I should be mindful, I should be aware when these thoughts pops up in my mind. I should allow them to come and go. And then you start asking, what is the right knowledge? Knowledge is that I'm really in stress. That is another perception. It helps us. And now, moving the mind from the top of the head to the toes, experience sensation, relaxation, and stillness. And you might be feeling that. It is because we are moving the mind into the knowledge. When the mind moves in with the wisdom, it starts dropping those impurities even at this time. That is what you might have experienced many a times. Oh, sensation, relaxation, and stillness. And again, we don't do anything except we look at the breath. The breath is going in and out. You just watch the breath is going in and out. Body is still, breath is changing, moving. We cannot make the breath still. So, natural state of the breath is a movement. Natural state of the body is a stillness. So, when the body is fidgeting, it is complaining and blaming the impurities are present there. And then you are looking at the breath is going in and out, and every time the breath goes in, you drop Om Shanti. The breath comes out, you drop Om Shanti. Om is consciousness, Shanti means the peace. So it is the peace consciousness. It is better when you say the Om Shanti with every breath, you just become aware of the infinite space. One. Second, when any thought comes, you superimpose the Om Shanti on that thought. So you are aware of the body stillness, you are aware of the moving the breath, you are aware of the Om Shanti with every breath, and you are aware, you are attentive. Instantly, any thought comes and you superimpose Om Shanti on that thought, and you will discover that thought dissolves, disappears. It doesn't disturb you. What is the main point is that you are aware of it. When you are aware of it, it doesn't, superimposition works. When you are not aware, then the thought is attached to the mind. It causes the emotional dependence. And that is why we say, I have a lot of thoughts in the practice of meditation. So continuous practice, regular practice will help us to reach to that state. And now look inside the cave of your heart. There is a space, whether you see darkness or space or blankness, all are okay. Now I say visualize the triangle of any color, equilateral triangle pointing upward. Maybe small or bigger, it does not make any difference because we are addressing where want the mind should move on the triangle. Now, moving the mind on one side of the triangle, one side, awareness of the side, moving the mind on the side of a triangle and dropping Om Shanti. Then the second, then the third, and again the first. So we are in, you can say, we are consciously enclosing the mind in a certain periphery to get rid of these three factors. Can it happen? Let us do it. It demands a practice at least for a couple of weeks before we understand. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Shanti is also there. The site of a triangle is also there. You are aware of the mind is living within stillness in the body. That helps you a kind of self absorption. But it is a conscious self absorption, my friends. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences, and if you have any question, obviously you can ask that. How are you, Charlie?
Good. I could feel my mind was busy, and then when my mind started to come inside, my body started sending me lots of physical discomfort,
Yes.
And I also at the moment have hot flashes, and I got a massive hot flash, and I was like, okay, this is temporary, this isn't real, this is
Yes.
temporary, this
Yes.
is real. It was very interesting. It was like my mind was saying, well, we'll get her with thoughts. Oh, she's stopping the thoughts. Right, we're sending physical sensations. It was hard work, but it was interesting.
Yes. That's a good point. You recognize how the mind takes over even the body. And mind says there is a discomfort in the body, and then it continues, then it disturbs. That is one aspect of it. That is what you said. So, by regular practice, so what happens, even if there is a discomfort, and the mind says, no, no, it's okay. I'm not this body. Let me see what happens. And the mind then calms down. It calms down the body also.
Right.
Beautiful. How are you, John?
Hey, Girish, I'm fine. My mind is mostly unbothered today, so so it's fine.
Unbothered, there may be many reasons of it, but practice is one.
Right.
Beautiful. That is good. So I have to analyze and experience that how come this mind at this time is unbothered. Can I replicate? Can I become aware in the at any moment when the mind is busy so that it remains unbothered? So that will help you to return to these principles. Then you will recognize, oh, here are these factors. These three factors are causing the problem. How are you, Anne? Yes, you have to unmute. I muted it.
Yeah. Yes, I felt very well the whole time and quiet. And I tell myself, make me remember that feeling to apply it and in cases when I need it, when I get upset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try to
Yeah.
think that nothing that important to get upset. but staying in that quiet.
Quiet and calmer state is
Right.
much better.
Yeah.
Or you can ask another question. Oh, mind you're upset. So give me 3 benefits of getting upset. Just ask yourself. So that
Of doing what?
3 benefits of getting upset.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So you start asking,
Yeah,
and you push. No. I'm upset. Okay,
the
I agree with you.
benefit to force me to do meditation.
So once you start asking these queries, this is what the false assumption is. I'm upset, then I'm upset. Don't talk to me. Give me a space. No, I've already given you a space. What other space you need? Normally we talk about honey, give me a space. So why you're saying that he or she is your honey? Anyhow, so we are going to meet on Tuesday next week. I have already sent you the link for the Tuesday.